Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Todd Glenn. Hopefully you guys are having a great Tuesday. I know it's not my normal show day that I do the Hockey Talk with TG podcast, but after my episode dropped on Monday, there was a lot of NHL, or at least big-time NHL news that, went down after that. And, of course, as you guys saw my schedule on the community tab on the Hockey Talk with TG podcast YouTube channel, I posted a schedule of what this podcast will look like in the next 1 or 2 weeks with the draft coming up and free agency coming up. And Friday, of course, is NHL draft day, so I was going to talk about all things pertaining to the NHL draft. And of course, Wednesday will be no episode because of my birthday. So because it's my birthday on Wednesday, I was going to do an episode. And of course, Friday is NHL draft day, so I was going to talk about all things pertaining to the NHL draft. And Monday will be a free agency preview episode. Wednesday will be a recap episode of free agency. So all that is on the Hockey Talk with TG podcast YouTube community tab on the Hockey Talk TG podcast YouTube channel for you guys to look at. But before we go ahead and get started, just a couple of announcements. First things first, congratulations to the OKC Thunder on winning their first NBA title. Really good team to watch. They got a great team. They got a great MVP in SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the big man, Chet Holmgren. I was actually cheering for the Indiana Pacers to win because I want the Pacers to win. Almost close to Chicago. It's like maybe a 1-2 hour drive. I don't think it's that long of a drive. Maybe just 30 minutes to an hour. I don't think it's 2 hours or nothing like that. But if you're going from Indianapolis to Chicago, maybe it's 2-3 hours. Maybe it's a 2-3 hour drive. But from overall Indiana to Illinois, it's not a 2-3 hour drive. I'm a North kid, so. It's not a 2-3 hour drive, but I think from Indianapolis to Chicago, maybe it's like 2-3 hours. But I was cheering for the Pacers to win. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it done. I was hoping they'd pull off another upset win. They didn't get it done. It was a heartbreaking end, though, because Tyrese Haliburton went down with a lower body injury. So that's what hurt even more. Besides the loss, my favorite NBA team is actually the Chicago Bulls, my hometown Chicago Bulls. And I like watching the Pacers too. And I was cheering for them throughout the NBA Finals and the playoffs. And got all the way to the finals, but couldn't get it done against a really stacked OKC team. That was the bad part. Main bad part besides the loss was Tyrese Haliburton going down with that injury in a winner-take-all Game 7. So that's what hurt even more. But again, congratulations to the OKC Thunder. They deserve it. Again, really good stacked team. Really good MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The big man in Chet Holmgren. Lots of great talented players on that OKC Thunder team. So congratulations again. Another announcement. As always, guys, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're tuning in on audio platform, make sure to follow the Hockey Talk with TG podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. We're going to be grinding all off season long. We are going to be live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:30 a.m. to noon Central Time, 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. each time. This is the podcast where you want to be at. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started into the NHL news for today. By the way, this is going to be a short episode just because it's a Tuesday. It's not my normal show day that I do the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the NHL news for today. So the big news that went down on Monday was Trevor Zegras getting traded to the Philadelphia Flyers for Ryan Poehling, a 2025 second-round pick, and a 2026 fourth-round pick. So that was the trade that went down between the Ducks and Flyers. Trevor Zegras is in the final year of his 3-year, $5.75 million contract deal. He signed with the Ducks on October 2nd, 2023. He will be an RFA in 2026. And obviously this was a W move from the Philadelphia Flyers. Now there was rumors going down on Monday. According to Elliotte Friedman, keep an eye out on Trevor Zegras. That's what he said on his tweet, because it is rumored, according to him, that Trevor Zegras will get traded. He said that on Monday, and what happened on Monday, probably a few hours or maybe a few minutes later, because at the moment he said it, I felt like from my perspective, at the moment he said that, he tweeted that out, was a few minutes later or maybe an hour or so later, Trevor Zegras gets traded to the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, not the Anaheim Ducks, the Philadelphia Flyers. So that's what, I didn't expect that to happen at this coming point in time. When the deal had went down, I expected it to happen somehow later on throughout the week, maybe on Wednesday, maybe on Thursday. At some point of this week is when I expected this trade to go down. I didn't expect it to happen right after Elliotte Friedman had tweeted that out. So that kind of caught me by surprise. But I didn't know that I kind of knew he was going to Philly. That was one of my top 3 teams that I would have loved to see Trevor Zegras be a part of. The other 2 teams I would have loved to see him be a part of are the Chicago Blackhawks, obviously, because you guys know how I'm a big Blackhawks fan. And I wanted to see Trevor Zegras on the Chicago Blackhawks. That was one of the teams that I had him going to besides the Philadelphia Flyers. Another team I would have loved to see Trevor Zegras be a part of, the Montreal Canadiens, be with his good old buddy and friend and USA teammate in the World Juniors in Cole Caulfield. So those are my top 3 teams that I would have liked to see Trevor Zegras be a part of after Elliotte Friedman had tweeted that out. Chicago Blackhawks, Philadelphia Flyers, and Montreal Canadiens. And he gets dealt to the Philadelphia Flyers. Great move from general manager Danny Briere. Trevor Zegras, he played 5 seasons with the Anaheim Ducks. And in those 5 seasons, he had 186 points in 268 games played, 67 goals, 119 assists for 186 points, and 268 games played. And Trevor Zegras had 60-plus point seasons in the 2021-22 season and the 2022-23 season, and he was named to the NHL All-Rookie Team in 2022. Of course, in 2021-22 season, we saw him doing all the Michigan-type goals. We saw him doing the Michigan flip to Sonny Milano. He was the Michigan master, as I like to call it, the Michigan man as well. And he was really good during the time. Again, he was doing all these Michigan goals. He was coming up with creative plays. But it seems like after the 2022-23 season, he had dropped. Like, he wasn't performing as well. He wasn't doing as well after the 2022-23 season. Like, it just kind of became... Trevor Zegras became the Trevor Zegras that we weren't used to seeing in the 2021-22 season. He kind of dropped or fell off, if you will. And the majority of that was because of the injuries he was dealing with. Like, this season, he had 32 points in 57 games played this season, 12 goals, 20 assists for 32 points in 57 games. And most of the time was because he missed time because of a torn meniscus. Hopefully I pronounced that word right. And other injury concerns that he's battled or went through was multiple lower body injuries. He's dealt with that over the past 2 seasons. He also missed time because of surgery, broken ankles. So he's had all these injuries that plagued him. And you got to wonder, will that come into play when he's on the Philadelphia Flyers? But other than that, I really think this was a good steal from why do I keep saying Anaheim? Probably because that's the team that he used to play for. I think this was a good steal from the Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers absolutely won this trade. I really do like this trade. And what's even great about this trade is Trevor Zegras will be reunited with his former buddy and friend that when he used to play for Anaheim Ducks and Jamie Drysdale. Those two used to play on the Anaheim Ducks. Now they will be reunited on the Philadelphia Flyers. And, of course, Trevor Zegras will be playing with Matvei Michkov. So that will be another thing that's interesting. Of course, I had him win the Calder Trophy this year, but it went to Lane Hudson, and rightfully so. So I'm excited to see Trevor Zegras with the Philadelphia Flyers. Again, that was one of the top 3 teams I had him going to. Of course, the other 2 teams were the Chicago Blackhawks and Montreal Canadiens. So I'm really excited to see Trevor Zegras suit up in the orange and black in the Philadelphia Flyers. And we'll see what happens there. Maybe more Michigan goals from Trevor Zegras if the injuries don't come into play, because again, he's battled with multiple injuries, which was the main reason why after the 2022-23 season he kind of dropped and fell off his game because of those injuries that he was going through. But hopefully we see a healthy Trevor Zegras throughout the 2025-26 season. Hopefully he doesn't miss a lot of time. As a Blackhawks fan, we really missed out on this trade because Trevor Zegras would have been a great player alongside Connor Bedard on that top line. And from a Blackhawks standpoint, the Blackhawks have been having trouble finding who will their top line be. And since Trevor Zegras was a name out there, I really wanted Kyle Davidson to go after him, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But we would have had a first line of Frank Nazar, Connor Bedard, and Trevor Zegras all playing on that top line. Because again, the Blackhawks, even when Luke Richardson was coaching the Blackhawks had trouble finding who was their top line. And when Anders Sorensen was coaching the Blackhawks, he was switching up the lines every so often. And I'm hoping that Jeff Blashill finds the first line for the Blackhawks. Hopefully he doesn't be like Anders Sorensen and Luke Richardson and just switch up the lines every so often. Because that was the one problem I hated with both of those coaches, besides the losing that we were going through. And Jeff Blashill, he's a developmental coach for the Blackhawks, and I'm hoping that he will develop the young players well. I mean, it paid off for Dylan Larkin, paid off for Lucas Raymond, and other players on the Red Wings. So he's a developmental coach, and I'm hoping he can develop some of these younger players, take them to the next game. But I really think getting Trevor Zegras on the Hawks with a young team would have been even better. But I'm really excited to see him on the Philadelphia Flyers, though, and I'm sure Flyers fans are glad that Trevor Zegras is on the team. Coach John Tortorella is not coaching the Flyers anymore, because you should go back to the time that Trevor Zegras did do the Michigan flip to Sonny Milano. John Tortorella said that what he did then was quote-unquote not good for the game. He hated it. I said this off air, I think John Tortorella hates Trevor Zegras himself, just overall hates Trevor Zegras. Just the move and the creativity, the stuff that he's doing is not good for the game of hockey. I think John Tortorella just hates Trevor Zegras, and I'm pretty sure if he was still coaching the Flyers, he would not be happy about that trade. But I think the Flyers absolutely stole that trade. They won the trade. This was a W move again from Danny Briere, and I don't think the Flyers are going to be done this offseason. We could even see the Flyers sneak into a playoff spot heading into the 2025-26 season, but we'll just have to see how everything goes throughout the offseason. But I'm really excited of what Trevor Zegras can bring to Philadelphia. Lots of skill set from Zegs, and I'm just hoping that he stays healthy, though, because the main thing that Flyers fans should worry about is the injuries. Is he going to get injured frequently? Is he going to stay healthy? Is he going to contribute on that top line? I could see Trevor Zegras playing top line minutes, or maybe put him at second line wing, but if it were up to me, I'd probably put him on that top line. Just for him to get top line minutes, get a lot of ice time, and hopefully he can contribute in a big way. But we'll just have to see how everything goes from here. Now we're going to talk about the 2025 Hockey Hall of Fame announcement. I talked about this on Monday's episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I also posted on the TG Hockey channel a little while back about candidates that could be in the 2025 Hockey Hall of Fame. I posted that video in November of 2024. And the Hockey Hall of Fame announcement will take place June 24th, today in Toronto. That will be live at 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time on TSN4 for Canadians, and for Americans, it will be live on NHL Network. The induction weekend will be set for November 8th through 10th. The actual induction will be happening on Monday, November the 10th. And again, I did make a video of this on my TG Hockey channel last year in November. I will put that link in the description. It will also be at the end screens for this episode if you're watching on YouTube. Just some top players that I think will be in the 2025 Hockey Hall of Fame. I'm not going to go so much into depth about this because I did talk about this on Monday's episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I also did that video last year in November on the TG Hockey channel. So I'm not going to go too much into depth about it. I'll just name the top players that I think should deserve to be in the 2025 Hockey Hall of Fame. And that list includes Zdeno Chara, Duncan Keith, Joe Thornton, Carey Price, Patrick Marleau, Ryan Getzlaf, Dustin Brown, Pekka Rinne, Patrick Elias, PK Subban, Corey Crawford, Tuukka Rask, Ryan Brind'Amour, and Jason Spezza. So all those are big names, Hall of Fame worthy names, Hall of Fame worthy players to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame this year in 2025. Hopefully we'll see some of those names being called to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Probably most likely we'll see Duncan Keith, Zdeno Chara, and Joe Thornton in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Maybe even throw Patrick Marleau in that conversation. We'll just have to see how that will go for this afternoon after this episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. But now we're going to be moving on to Mason Lohrei as he signs a 2-year, $6.4 million contract deal with the Boston Bruins on Monday. Average annual value of $3.2 million. He was going to be an RFA on July 1st, but now he signs a 2-year deal with the Boston Bruins. And Mason Lohrei had posted a career high with 5 goals, 28 assists, and 33 points in 77 games played this season. He led Bruins defensemen with 16 power play points, ranking second on the team among all players. And he also led Boston's defense in total assists and points throughout the season. He averaged 19 minutes and 32 seconds 19 minutes 32 seconds per game, showing his growth, role, and trust within the lineup. And he overall in his career, he had 46 points in 118 games played, 9 goals, 37 assists for 46 points in 118 regular season games, and 4 points in 11 playoff games. 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points in 11 playoff games. He's a offensive minded defenseman with an upside if he improves on his own zone play, on his offensive zone play. So I think this was a great move from Boston. To be honest, I kind of don't know what Boston is doing now after trading away Brad Marchand. I know a lot of Bruins fans are upset with general manager Don Sweeney, but Boston is making moves. They are hoping to be back in the playoff mix after missing out on the playoffs for the first time since 2016. From 2017 to 2025, or I should say 2017 to 2024, they were in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now in 2025, they missed out on the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they are looking to etch their way back into playoff contention. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that follow button. If you are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio. We are live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:30 a.m. to noon Central Time, 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. East Time. Make sure to give me a follow. Both of you guys have a great rest of your day. I know it's again unusual to do my podcast on Tuesdays, considering I don't do my Hockey Talk TG podcast on Tuesday, but just wanted to get an episode out now, so there was a lot of big NHL news that happened on Monday. But anyways, again, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Keep God first as always. Be blessed. I'll see you guys Friday for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. We'll be talking about all things NHL draft related. Stay tuned for that. Hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date and get notified when the Hockey Talk with TG podcast drops. I'll see you guys all Friday for a preview episode of the 2025 NHL Draft. And take care.